Hello and welcome to episode 96 of Stitched in Sweden. I'm Maria and you can find me on Instagram as Stitched in Sweden and on Ravelry under the same name. Today I have a few different knitting finished objects to show you, as well as sewing projects that I've finished in the last month or so, and a few works in progress in both of those categories as well. And I have two kind of gift ideas for you if somebody is looking for ideas to give you as a knitter or a sewer. Two things that I really like, maybe three, that I'll share with you today, so that yeah, maybe you will get a nice holiday gift from somebody. Anyway, I'm recovering, I hope I'm recovering from a bit of a cold, so my voice is a little bit off today, but I have some tea right next to me, so I thought might as well go for it. So let's just jump right in. I think I'll start with knitting today, and we can just start directly with what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Forbes sweater. This is a sweater from Brooklyn Tweed. I think it's actually from Jared Flood as well. And you can see that it is a textured yoke pattern. The texture is just up here in the yoke part. And I think that I might have modified the collar to be double folded. I don't remember if it's that way in the original pattern. This is actually the second time that I've knit this sweater. The first one I knit in the same yarn, which is Derirum Natura Gelée, maybe is how you say it, the worsted weight yarn of theirs. It's a worsted weight woolen spun yarn, so it's really warm but lightweight at the same time. And this particular color is the cedar color, pronounced in French, which is a really nice kind of rich medium green. I really like knitting with this yarn, and I like wearing it. It is, I would say, probably one of my warmest sweaters that I have. I think the woolen spun yarn gives you like a different level of warmth compared to like a superwash merino or something like that. That would be a worsted spun, which is worsted spun versus woolen spun. You can find a lot of information about that online, but basically woolen spun has more air kind of woven, spun into it, so that the yarn itself is lighter for each gram. There's more yardage per gram of yarn, so it's fluffier, but it also kind of like insulates more somehow, because that airiness in it sort of allows the, I think it like kind of allows the warm air to get trapped in the sweater, and then it's just nice and cozy. Anyway, that was very long. I knit the first version of this sweater for myself, and then I gave it to my mom, which is also in Derirum Natura Gelée, and it's in a kind of bluish gray color, quite a lighter color. Knit that for her. I think she also wears that quite a lot and likes it. So yeah, knitting. Let's just jump right in. I have two finished objects. One is actually a finished object, technically a finished object for this month, which is my Blossom of Snow mittens. And this is my next pattern that will be coming out very shortly. Here is the first one. And I can just put on the other one too. I knit these mittens to be kind of the adult companion to the Blossom of Snow sweater, which is the children's pattern that I recently released last month. And I'm not really interested in releasing adult sweater patterns for a variety of reasons that I don't necessarily want to get into. But I also do like knitting adult projects, so yeah, I decided to go with mittens for this time. They have the contrast color here on the cuff, which is a tubular cast on method. Yeah, ribbing that you can make as long as you want. I like it to be kind of this length because it's really nice when you have it this length underneath the coat. Put the mitten on first and slide your coat in. There's no gaps that are forming there, but like if you have, maybe it's not quite as cold or whatever, it's also nice to be able to fold it down to just kind of that half cuff length, and it's still a very nice size for a mitten cuff. I use the same contrast color for the thumb, and yeah. For this pattern, I knit it using Sandnes Garn Peer Gynt, which is also what I used for the first two versions of my Blossom of Snow sweater patterns. And then here I've also incorporated a little bit of Double Sunday yarn, which is a merino from Sandnes Garn also, and that is some leftovers that I had used in the second sweater that I made for Eloise, the second Blossom of Snow that I made for Eloise when she decided that the Peer Gynt was too tickly for her. These mittens right now, when I knitted them first, they were perfect for the weather here, but right now it is -18 degrees Celsius, which must be right around or slightly below 0 Fahrenheit. It's really cold, and these mittens are not warm enough. They could theoretically be warm enough if you have like a lining mitten, you know, or a lining glove is what I usually have, and then I would wear these kind of over the top of those. Then they would probably be warm enough, but I have a pair of like really thick mittens with, you know, some nylon man-made coating on the outside, which is more windproof, and that's what I've been wearing lately. But for many parts of the world, I think that having a nice pair of fall, early winter mittens is quite nice. So these will be published very soon. I'm just waiting for a few more of my test knitters to get back to me, and yeah, they will be up on Ravelry and Lovecrafts, which is where you can find all of my patterns on both of those platforms. Another pattern, which will be coming out shortly as well, is one that I actually finished before Eloise was born 4 years ago. And that is my triangulation blanket. So I knit this as a baby blanket for her, and it was finished, yeah, as I said, before she was born. But I never managed to write up and kind of finalize the pattern in that kind of early newborn time. And then Nora actually used, my second daughter, Nora used this blanket a lot when she was a newborn. So now I have finally written up the pattern, it's all ready to go, and it will also be published soon. So this blanket is a nice size, I think, it's a nice size for like a newborn. Maybe if you're, you know, we used it when she was like on the couch and like in this little kind of snuggly thing, and kind of have it draped on top of her. It's bigger than like what I would use as like a car seat blanket or something like that, or like in the stroller maybe. But why I also like it this size is because it kind of grows with them. So it's also been a cozy blanket for them to have as toddlers. And it's a nice size for adults as like a throw lap blanket on the couch. But it's very customizable in size, so you could make it significantly smaller or even larger. One of my test knitters has even made it as like a doll blanket, which I think, yeah, that's also a great idea. I knit this using Debbie Bliss Cashmerino, Baby Cashmerino yarn, which is a sport weight yarn, and I think that it is now available exclusively through Lovecrafts. Don't quote me on that, but I sort of think that is the case. You can obviously use many other different yarns, but this has held up really well. It still looks really nice even after having been washed and used, and yeah. So I would recommend this yarn in a heartbeat. I think that I used 10 balls of that. They're 50-gram skeins, but of course that information will be available for you in the pattern, and you can basically knit it to whatever size you want, especially if you have a scale or something where you're able to weigh your yarn. What I would do is weigh your yarn after you do the initial ribbing so that you know how much that ribbing took, and then you can knit as long as you want to until you have enough for the end ribbing to finish off your project. So yes, that is the triangulation blanket, and that will also be coming soon. So it's not really a finished object for this. I haven't finished knitting it now, but I don't know that I showed you that project. Maybe I did, I don't remember, it was a long time ago. So there you go. So next up, I will share with you my knitting works in progress, which I have a few. I still have my Cozy Classic light sweater on the needles. I think I showed this in 2 episodes ago. I haven't worked on it in a while. This sweater has really gone to hibernation mode, and I think the main reason for that is because it's just gotten really cold, and I don't see myself wearing this until summer, maybe. So yeah, it's just kind of on hold at the moment. This is being knit in some very bright neon-y orange pink coral, spun right round classic sock, I think. I don't remember the color right now. It's really nice yarn. It's fun to knit on, but it just kind of has taken a back seat because I know I probably won't be wearing it for a while. Yeah, and other things have just taken priority. So the main thing that I was working on last time is the Aspen cardigan. I spoke about this a little bit before. I have finished both sleeves, and now I have also knit a bit of the back. I'm not sure exactly where I was last time, but this is where I am now. And I think I told you before that I just decided to make a regular length cardigan. This pattern is for a very long robe-like cardigan, and I measured the length of a cardigan that I have knit in the past that I really like the length of, and it's really a wearable pattern for me, and that's what I based this one off of. So this is where I have started to bind off for the armhole. So this is how long it will be, and yeah, this is my progress. It's really slow. I've gone for a while without knitting this because it's just sometimes too much concentration required, and yeah, I really am looking forward to having the finished object. I'm also enjoying knitting it for the most part. I think right now I've kind of stalled a little bit because I know I'm at a part where I'm having to pay attention each row how many stitches I'm decreasing for the back part, and I'm going to need to be measuring so that I get that length right, etc. So it's just, I haven't worked on it in a while, but I would really like to finish that and wear it. Last time I talked to you about that sweater, I think I was guessing on the yarn. So I thought I would just pull forward the yarn that I'm using. This is Cascade Yarns Eco Merino DK. It's 100% merino wool. It's undyed. It says 100 grams is 254 yards, 233 meters. Hand wash cool, lay flat to dry. Cascade Yarns, Seattle, Washington. Family owned since 1987. So this is what I'm using for my Aspen cardigan, and it's really enjoyable to knit with this yarn. The only other thing that I have been knitting on lately is something that I cast on just kind of on a whim the other day, which is a pair of, very much on a whim. I mean, I haven't knit this kind of project in a long time, but I really enjoyed it. So I decided to cast on a pair of self-striping socks, and I both haven't knit socks in a while because I now have a 3D printed sock machine, which will be a story for another day. I haven't hand knit socks in a while, and I also don't usually use self-striping yarn anymore. But I had this yarn that I think I bought last year around Christmas time, and I thought it would be just fun. That was what was kind of calling to me in that moment when I was looking for a kind of mindless, I don't want to say mindless, but like just something that was a little bit less complicated than very intricate cables. Something that I didn't have to focus as much attention on. So this is the Regia Perfect design line. It's a Arne and Carlos color, so it shows you what they'll look like. And this comes in a 100 gram ball that is literally, you can start at one end and knit until the other end, and you will get two perfectly matched pairs of socks. Now, I adjusted it a little bit because for me, the top cuff part, when you just knit all of the white yarn that comes with it, is too long. So I actually wound mine off into two 50 gram balls because originally I was planning on doing it on the sock machine, and then I changed my mind. I don't know. You could see this yellow yarn kind of here in the middle. This is where you start or end, and you don't actually knit that yarn. That's just to indicate the start so that you can know exactly where it is on the first sock, and then you can do it exactly the same on the second sock. So I knit the cuff for 20 rounds of 2x2 rib, and then I broke the yarn and started again when the color started, because for me there was just too much of the white part. So if I had, now that must have been the toe part. I don't remember where my little clump from the cuff is, but the cuff continues for a little bit longer, and I just wanted mine to be this long. So I just cut the white, started at the color, knit the color all the way until then when you get to when the white shows up again, then you start your heel. I did the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and I actually did 2 rows of white in the cuff, whatever, the leg of the sock. I did 2 rows of the white before starting the heel because I knew from knitting this yarn in the past that I would have a significant amount of yarn for the heel that would probably be too much yarn for the heel, so that I might actually need to like cut it again and can take away some of the white for the heel before continuing with the foot. So instead of doing that, I just knit 2 rows in the leg, then did the heel, then there was approximately 2 more rows before the color started again, and knit the color part. And I also then had to cut the yarn because my sock was just getting too long with the last part of the pattern before the white appears again for the toe. And that's, you know, if you want to have white, 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 which I did. So you can see like this pattern repeat here for the leg is also the same pattern repeat here for the foot. So I have cut out this last kind of blue striping part here on the foot. I have a size US 8.5 or 9 foot, and I have so 39-40 European size. I cast on 64 stitches on a 2mm US size 0 needle, and that's what I come up with. So I have cast on the second sock. I just have started the cuff, and this is just something that I can pick up in the evening when I'm tired and can watch something on TV or watch a podcast or something, and it's kind of giving me Christmassy holiday vibes, which is nice. I don't know what it is particularly about it that makes it feel Christmassy to me, but I guess it's the combination of like the reds and the pinks with the kind of bluish greens and a little bit of gold in here. I don't know. I'm just enjoying it, and I felt like the perfect time to cast it on, so I did. That's what I've been knitting. Let's go just a kind of intermission in here and talk about these gift ideas that I have. I have one for if you are a knitter and one for a sewer, and these are not sponsored in any way. I recently picked up this Petite Knit Refresh Your Knit is what she calls it. It is a pill remover. So you can see I have my green yarn in here. My green pills are in here from this sweater. So when I put this on this morning, you're probably supposed to do it when it's not on you, but whatever. I turn it on. Give it a little shake. It eats the pills right up, and I find that this one is really good. I've tried a few different versions. My sister has one, my mom has one, I've tried theirs. This is the best one that I've ever used, and the nice thing about it too, it's really easy to clean. It's easy to get the pills out because this whole front part just easily unscrews, and you actually mostly just slide off this bottom part here to empty it. But like if you need to get into the blade part and clean it out, you can easily unscrew this part. And then you can also get replaceable blades for it. So I think probably some of the reason that other ones haven't worked as well for me is that they've gotten dull over time. But this one you have replaceable blades. So I got a replaceable blade as well. I just 100% recommend that one if you are in the market for a pill remover. And really using it makes your garment look brand new. So I also did that on my triangulation blanket. I de-pilled it because, you know, it's been used for 4 years and it was a little bit pilly because yarn pills. And yeah, it's just, now it's at a state that I can feel comfortable taking kind of finished object pictures for my pattern for it again, which is really nice just to be able to refresh your knit and make it as good as new. Okay, so for the sewers out there, if you think that you have a good pair of scissors, but you haven't tried these scissors, I think that you will be pleasantly shocked because these are the best scissors that I have ever had. They are so smooth and so sharp and just cut through anything so easily. They're amazing. This was a particular like design series, which is why the handle is this pattern. I think otherwise I don't know if they're black or gold or silver usually, but Gingaher, is that what it's called? the rest of this episode is sewing. So let's get started with that. For sewing projects this month, I have a few Christmas gifts that I wanted to show you before I send them away. So I'll wait to do those kind of towards the end so I can tell the recipients to stop watching. But kind of the main exciting thing that I finished this month is this doll bed for my youngest daughter, Nora. I made this, well, I finished it the day before her birthday. Her birthday is November 10th. And it's kind of like, it's an involved make because there are a lot of things that you need to cut out. For each of the pieces of this outer bassinet kind of part, like each of these has both interfacing to thicken it, like quite a thick interfacing to make it sturdy. And then it also has like a batting or a wadding to give it some fluff sort of structure to it. So spoiler alert, I'm making one for Eloise as well for her birthday, which is December 23rd. So on this piece, for example, you can see that you have to cut out the fabric, the outer fabric. Then this is, has the interfacing now ironed onto it, applied. So you cut out the interfacing as well. And then there's also this wadding, batting piece. So each piece really has those components. So it's a lot of cutting out. And then you have the lining, so that you cut basically double of everything. So this pink color is the lining fabric. There's a little pillow that goes with it, and also kind of this mattress part that goes in the bottom. So it's just a lot of pieces. It's not particularly difficult. I mean, yeah, you just cut them all out, whatever. It wasn't easy to sew, and I think the main reason for that is because you're using quite thick interfacing, and as you're sewing it, especially when you're having to sew on this binding, like here you can see it's just pretty wonky. Like it's fine. It's like, you know, it's a little baby basket for a kid who is never gonna look at it that close. But for me, it's like a little bit frustrating when I'm like trying to make it as best as I can. And like this binding is applied super nice, but this is also a straighter edge. It was just difficult as you're sewing around this curved edge and you have this kind of like chunky, stiff piece. It's all connected and you're like trying to, you know, wedge underneath your sewing machine, and it was just a lot of maneuvering around the edges to make it actually happen. The pattern is by Dana Made It, D-A-N-A, Made It, and she has a website. I think that I actually originally saw this on, if you ever watched the Hey Sister podcast, they had a yarn company as well, and Tabby had made this doll bed for three of her daughters. So that's where I saw it originally and bought the pattern. I think the pattern was interesting because the person who wrote the pattern mostly maybe makes apparel patterns. I don't know. I found the pattern to be really long and detailed in certain places and then like lacking information in other places that sort of makes assumptions that you are maybe a more experienced sewer than the kind of advanced beginner label on the pattern. I definitely consider myself to be an advanced sewist. I've been sewing for 13 years, and I've done a lot of sewing during that time. So there was things that I felt were missing from the pattern that if I was only an advanced beginner, I might not have known, and I think made it easier if you did those. So for example, clipping the seam allowances, especially like on a curve, pressing there weren't instructions. There were some instructions for trimming the seam allowances, but there was no instructions for pressing your project as you were going. So I found, like, I knew that it was going to be easier to press this outer piece once this whole outer part was constructed, to like kind of have it flattened on my ironing board like this and press it so that these edges would be kind of formed in that way. And if you look actually at the pattern itself, if you look at the pictures of the pattern, hers are kind of not droopy, like this is sounding kind of mean, but she doesn't have like a crisp edge on the kind of, like she doesn't get like a square structure like this on hers. And I think that's because she probably didn't press it then. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to be critical, it's just like there's some things like that it's like, oh, but if you take this extra second here and press it, you're gonna get a nicer, cleaner finish in the end. So I don't know, for being like a super detailed pattern that had many, many pages, it was like, I feel like there could have been some small things like that which were missing. I would still do it again. I'm going to do it again. Have all the pieces cut out, it's all ready. Oh, I'll show you the little blanket because I think that's super cute too. This little blanket is in like a double gauze fabric that I had, and I had this, I think it might be Atelier Brunette that I had just a small amount of, which is, I think it's more like a cotton lawn. So it works nicely for this kind of lightweight fabric without like adding a stiff edge to it. And then I also added a little label on this. It says PS I love you. And yeah, she really likes the blanket. She likes to drape it over the whole thing, and she says that her doll is sleeping. So I am working on the second one. This is for Eloise. She also has the same binding in just a different color, same fabric. She doesn't have the label on it yet, but she will. And for hers, I'm using this Rifle Paper Co. Strawberry Fields for the outer, and then for the inner lining, it will be this blush gingham fabric, which is also from Rifle Paper Company. The Nutcracker fabric is also a holiday Rifle Paper Company, and the lining of Nora's bassinet is it's from Art Gallery Fabrics, and I think that color was called Macadamia, potentially. Yeah, so it's a bit of an involved project. It's not super difficult, but it's just a lot of cutting out, kind of a lot of steps, and yeah. I think that Eloise is gonna really like hers too, and Nora has already been carrying hers around a lot around the house, which is fun to, I don't know, it's just fun to see her play with it. Anything else about that? It comes in 3 different sizes for 3 different size dolls. The doll that they have and use the most is this one, who needs some clothes, but this is a 13-inch doll, and the pattern tells you for a 13-inch doll, it gives a range of like maybe 12 to 14 inches or something. Then you should do the size small, and then it says, you know, 14 to 16, do the size medium, and then 16 to 20 or something, do the size large. I'm not sure exactly on those numbers, but something like that. When I kind of held up the doll to the size small, I thought, I don't know, like even though it's supposed to be the size small, I think that I actually want to do size medium. So I ended up doing the size medium, but shortening the length of the whole thing by about 1 inch, which was still slightly larger than the size small, in case you're curious. Yeah, so those are fun. And it's kind of like outside of the normal range of things that I am typically making. So another kind of finished sewing project that I thought I would share with you is one that I've showed you before, and this is the Lowland Kids set-in sweater. It's the adult version that I made myself. This sweater, previously when you saw it, it had a different neckband and different cuffs, and I decided I couldn't live with them being the ribbing color that they were, because it was a darker, more yellow toned gray, and it just looked dirty to me and I didn't like it. So I opted for, speaking of dirty, tomato sauce. I opted for doing the cuffs and the neckband in the sweatshirting fabric itself, and I think it has worked quite well. I'm happy with it. You could see that it sticks up a little bit. This hasn't been ironed at all. It's, you know, out of the washer and then worn a couple times. But I'm okay with that. Like, I'm okay with that level of kind of sticking upness. With the ribbing, it does sit flatter, and there's definitely a bonus to that. But if I can't get perfectly matching ribbing, then I prefer this. I finished the embroidery on this one. You can see my M there. And yeah, I'm really happy with this sweatshirt. I've been wearing it a lot. And yeah, this is the adult version. I think I've shown you this before. It has a little detail on the side that you can include or not. It just adds a little bit something different from kind of a standard sweatshirt. I think I'll definitely use that pattern again. I have some nice dark green, a similar color as this sweatshirting fabric that I think even has like some cashmere in it maybe. I need to look that up. That I've been wanting to make a sweatshirt from. I'm kind of debating between another sweatshirt like this, or maybe incorporating some things from this sweatshirt, like maybe this hem detail, but then making it a, like, is it called 3/4 zip, even though it's really only like 1/4? I don't know, but you know, like a zip like this, just a little short zip with like a higher collar. So we'll see. Okay, so one more finished sewing project before I show you my gift projects. This is my classic shirt pattern finished, and this is in a Merchant & Mills cotton linen blend. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's exactly what I was hoping for. The fit is great. I will maybe show you, maybe I'll wear it next time, but it's cold today, so I'm wearing this warm sweater. I planned on wearing this, but it's just too cold. But I will layer this with some merino, kind of like long underwear underneath. And then my plan is to eventually have this sweater with my Aspen cardigan, the white, cozy white cabled cardigan on top of this will be super nice. And then wearing that with a pair of black pants is just that's my cozy winter outfit that I have in my mind for this. So really easy to sew this. I'm happy with my kind of random pattern matching that I achieved. It's not totally random, but like, I don't know, it just worked out, which is nice when that happens. Something that didn't work out as well is that I only had 7 of these buttons, so I didn't put in the top button. I'll never button that anyway, and I find that buttonhole tricky to make on the top one, so I was like, meh, just skip that. I make the rules. And then on the cuffs, there are 2 buttons on each cuff, and those ones are different. Not totally on purpose. You see, this is like a little metal button, and this is a plastic button, but these ones on the cuffs, I often wear my cuffs rolled up anyway, and you don't see those buttons, and I just really wanted to use these kind of brown turtle shell-y sort of buttons for the front, and those are the ones that I had, so that's what I did. So that's finished, and I'll show you that pattern is this one. It's Liesl & Co. Let's see, does it say it on there? On the back it does. Liesl & Co. is the brand, and this is the classic shirt. It comes in sizes 0 to 20, which is a bust measurement of 32.5 inches up to 46 inches. I did the size 4 in the body and then graded up to a size 6 in the shoulders and upper part. There's 2 different cup sizes, I guess. So there's AB cup and CD, and it tells you kind of information on the sizing. Actually, so maybe that's like 4 cup sizes. I don't know. Information about the cup sizes and stuff is in there. So it's like different pattern pieces depending on the cup size, which is nice. Especially if you have a larger bust, I think, so that you don't have to basically do a full bust adjustment for this pattern. It's already included in it. Yeah, I've made this shirt pattern now. This is the 3rd time, and I'll definitely make it again because it just fits really well and is a perfect classic shirt. Okay, so now we get down to the last 3 items which I have made for gifts. So if you are my parents or my sister, please stop watching now and happy Thanksgiving. And if you're not, then you can keep watching. So for my mom and my sister, I have made them the Yarrow wristlet. This is the pattern, and this is a pattern from Noodlehead. I've made a lot of her bag patterns in the past. And let's see, I'll take out the thingy. So I made one for each of my mom and my sister. This is for my sister. It's in a kind of olive colored waxed canvas. It has a mustard zipper. I got all the notions for this from the Noodlehead shop, online shop. Little zipper pull and this leather for the wristlet kind of, you know. I added the rivet there. This can clip on and off. And then the nice thing about this, I don't have my phone here right now, but the nice thing about this wristlet is that it fits a phone easily, and then it has a few pockets in here. There's 2 card pockets, and then there's actually supposed to be a zipper pocket inside here. I only had 1 zipper that was the appropriate length for that, and I was making 2, so I was like, I just don't want to put a zipper in there. And I was also not sure about having an internal zipper if like it was also going to carry your phone often. I just didn't want the zipper rubbing on the phone. So I decided to skip that, and I just sewed it closed. I just excluded the zipper. This also has the little PS I love you tag in there, and this fern fabric in here is an art gallery canvas fabric from Bonnie Christine. So that is for my sister. And then for my mom, I made this one, which is this kind of gray, it reads gray canvas. It's actually white and like a dark navy blue, not twill, I think it's called like an Oxford weave maybe. Has a white zipper. This one has a little blue zipper pull, the same leather for the wristlet. And then the inside is the pop of floral. Rifle Paper Company also has the PS I love you tag and the 2 pockets in there. These were also kind of involved makes. I always find bag making to be a bit challenging because it's also sometimes like thickly interfaced, or the fabric is thicker because you're using a canvas or something, and it's often like tiny little edges you have to go around and maneuver it to kind of make it work. But her patterns are super well written, and I definitely recommend them if you are new to bag making. This one is intermediate bag maker is the skill level. I would agree with that. And then it comes both in this wristlet size and then a smaller, I think she calls it a pouch, which would be like, you know, a coin purse sort of thing. So those are for my mom and my sister. And then for my dad, I made him a beanie in merino jersey from We Are the Fabric Company. We Are the Fabric Store, which is where I buy all my merino fabric. And this was a kind of leftover piece from onesie and leggings that I've made for Nora. And I have like these kind of perfect size leftover pieces to make these beanies with, which is really nice because this is like a double thick layer. So there's 4 pieces that you cut out. Yeah, so it's doubly lined. You can fold up the cuff, and it's just a cozy hat. He has one already in, I think, a navy blue that he wears a lot, and I thought he might like another one. This is the slouch beanie pattern from Brindle and Twig. That pattern goes from a preemie to size 4 to 5T maybe. And so I just like looked at the head circumference for the largest size and then thought about my head circumference and just like added a little bit. But like, I guess I looked at the largest size that the pattern came with and what head size that should correspond to like get an idea of like what the negative ease was in the hat, because it has negative ease. So the hat size is smaller than the head size so that you get a nice tight fit. And then I just kind of, you know, scaled up from there to make a hat that would fit him. I guess I'll put it on. It's embarrassing. I just don't like hats, but you know, it's just like a nice, tightly fitting, cozy hat that he has less hair than me. But he will wear it. He can, I think he even sometimes maybe wears it underneath his bike helmet. I'm not sure. But yeah, I know he wears his other one a lot, so I think he will enjoy that one. So I think that's it for today. I will share next time with you probably some new projects. We'll just have to see how this winter goes. But if you're in the US, I hope you have a nice Thanksgiving. And if you are elsewhere, just a nice week. And until next time, happy knitting and happy sewing. Bye.